Hey there, fantasy owners. LTC Fantasy here. Not sure if you're chiming in watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but really do appreciate the watch or listen no matter how you're streaming the episode. Before we get started, do need to mention we have partnered up with 247clash.com. It's a pools type player versus player fantasy type game that's pretty much made winnable for anyone there. So if you do decide to go to www.247clash.com, link is down in the description there. And when you get to the homepage, at the top of the homepage, you will see a how to play link. It's a short 50-second video that explains the game a lot better than I can. And if you do sign up, use referral code LTC and hopefully you start winning some cash. Do note it is for Canadian residents only at this time. Might change, but it is for Canadian residents only. So today's our week 25 strategy episode. So we're going to break down this week's schedule, find you the advantages, and suggest players to hopefully help strengthen your fantasy roster and help you secure that championship there. So speaking of which, finally it's championship week. And there are some things to note before we get started. We won't be doing a weekend ads episode this week since it is a 12-day week. We will be having a waiver wire episode coming out next Saturday that'll look at the final 5 days in case you do need a boost to hopefully solidify that win for you. Some other things to note, the Islanders only have 4 games over the final 12 days, so really light on the schedule there. Slew of teams have 5, but there's a number of teams with 6 games over the 12 days, them being Carolina, Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Detroit, Minnesota, Philly, San Jose, Toronto, Vancouver, and Vegas. There's also 4 teams that have 7 games, really busy over the final 12 days, them being Buffalo, Colorado, Nashville, and Seattle. The way the week kind of goes, it's light on Monday, the first Monday, 3 games. Tuesday, heavy, 11 games. Wednesday, back down to 3. Thursday, 14, kind of starting out like your normal week. Friday, no games on Friday. Then it gets heavy. Saturday, there's 6 games. Sunday, only 2. But Monday 10, Tuesday 10, normally Monday's a light night, but 20 teams playing that night. The second Wednesday down to 3 games, Thursday 15 games, so a lot of them, and finish it off on Friday with 2 makeup games. There's 2 games on the final Friday there. So over the 12 nights, there is 5 light nights. Surprising with 5 light nights though, no team plays more than 2 of them. Nobody plays even half the light nights this week. So with that in mind, your real advantage is to stock up on as many man games played as you can get. So with that, we will cover all 6 and 7 game teams this week. So basically, we'll get right into it. Some D-men with 6 game weeks. We'll cover 7 after we get through all the 6 game players. But D-men with 6 games this week. We'll start out in Carolina. Look at Brady Shea, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit. He only has 1 point his last 6 games, but he put up 5 points over the previous 3. So with that, you can see he's kind of hit or miss there, but he can get points in bunches. He's a bit of a gamble, but it could potentially work out for you. Especially with 6 games, you got a little better shot at hopefully getting that bubble of points in there. Another one from Carolina, Shane Gostisbehere. He's owned in 44% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third pairing in Carolina, top power play unit, and he has 3 points his last 7 games, so just a hair under half point per game. One of those points is on the power play, also 14 shots on goal in those 7 games. With Gostisbehere, he started out really hot in Carolina, then he got cold. He's doing a little bit better. He's obviously been better of late. He's a little bit risky, but again, with 6 games, it could pay off for you. Over in Chicago, maybe look at Seth Jones. He's owned in 55% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, top power play unit for the Blackhawks there. He has 2 points his last 3 games. And in those 3 games, he also has 5 shots on goal and 3 blocks. He finally busted out of a lengthy slump there. So with that, he does have talent. He is on a weak team, but it might be worth a roll of the dice if he is available in your leagues there. Over in Columbus, maybe look at Adam Boquist, owned in 7% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second pairing top power play unit. He has 4 points the last 6 games. Couple those points being on the power play. Also in those 6 games, he has 16 shots on goal and 6 blocks in there. He is listed as day-to-day with an illness. Illness is usually fairly short there, so he should be back in time for next week there. So he should be an okay ad for you in scoring leagues. Over in Dallas, maybe look at Ryan Suter, only owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, plays third pairing, second power play unit for the Stars there, and he has 8 points his last 10 games. With that, he's kind of turning back the clock there. He's been getting a bit of offense the last while, and he could help you with some deeper leagues, especially with having a heavier schedule. Over in Philly, maybe look at Rasmus Ristolainen, up to 6% owned, plays second pairing, up on the top power play unit in Philly right now. And he has points in 4 straight games, couple those being on the power play, also has 6 hits and 4 blocks in those 4 games. As I mentioned, he's on a small roll right now. He is up on that top power play unit. Could turn out to be a nice option for you. Another one in Philly is Tony DeAngelo, owned in 53% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third pairing in Philly, top power play unit, and he has 5 points his last 5 games. Nice little run. 3 of those points being on the power play with 10 shots on goal, also 6 blocks in those 5 games. It's a little bit streaky, but DeAngelo definitely has some offensive upside there, so it could work out nicely for you in a scoring league. Over in Toronto, maybe look at Justin Hall. Owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, plays second pairing for the Leafs there. He has 3 points his last 5 games, and in those 5 games, he's also thrown 5 hits, had 4 blocks in there. With Hall, he's not really going to wow you, but of late, his Cats are okay recently here. So in a real deep Cats league, it might pay off or get some value out of him. Last one I put was Philip Hronek, but he just got listed knocked out for the rest of the season, so he can rest his shoulder. So you can scratch that one off the list there. And before we get into the next segment, do want to ask, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. Hopefully you're getting some value out of these episodes here. If you're listening via podcast, please give us a 5-star review, as that helps get the podcast suggested to other potential listeners out there. Hopefully you are getting some value out of these episodes. Hopefully you do secure your victory. And now we'll get into the next segment. Some forwards with 6-game weeks. Start off in Carolina. Look at Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Listed as center left winger for the Hurricanes, owned in 14% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, second power play unit, and he's been pointless his last 3 games, but before that he had 6 points the previous 6 games there. So he's streaky, but he's been a lot better in the second half this year, so in deeper leagues, he might turn out to be an okay streaming option for you. Over in Chicago, maybe look at Jason Dickinson, listed as center left winger, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, second power play unit, He has 3 points the last 5 games, and in those 5 games, he also has 9 shots on goal, 6 hits, and 5 blocks in there. He is really hit and miss there, but he is getting some opportunity being on the top line, gets a little bit of second unit power play time. So in a real deep league, and if you're in a pinch, he could potentially work out for you. Another one in Chicago is Lucas Reichel, also listed as center left winger, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, top power play unit for the Blackhawks there. He has 3 points his last 4 games, and in those 4 games, one of those points was on the power play, also 11 shots on goal and a couple of blocks in there. The young kid does have talent, but he can be a little bit risky because he can be a little bit streaky being young, but he should be an alright option in your deeper scoring leagues. Speaking of young guys, we'll go over to Columbus. Maybe look at Kirill Marchenko, listed as a right winger, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line, top power play unit, and he has 4 points his last 6 games, and one of those points was on the power play, and in those 6 games he also has 17 shots on goal and 3 blocks in there. He has been streaky this year, but he's been not bad recently, and he definitely does score. He's more of a sniper than a passer, so to speak. So he could be a decent option in your deeper leagues there. Another one in Columbus is Boone Jenner, listed as a center, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line, top power play unit, and he has 8 points the last 10 games. A couple of those coming on the power play there. Also 34 shots on goal, 19 hits, and 6 blocks in those 10 games. So really nice cat numbers there. He's been fairly consistent when he has been in the lineup there, and should be a solid streaming option in a Cats league. Another one in Columbus is Jack Roslovic, listed as a center, only owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, top power play unit, and he currently has 7 points in a 5-game point streak. So he's pretty hot right now, 3 of those points being on the power play. Also has 12 shots on goal and 4 blocks in those 5 games, so pretty nice numbers there too. He's streaky but hot at the moment. He does get really hot and cold, but he's hot right now, so he might be worth a roll of the dice on. Another one in Columbus is Kent Johnson, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, second power play unit for the Blue Jackets, and he has 9 points in his last 11 games, 4 of those 9 points being on the power play there. So the kid has really been decent of late, and he could definitely help you in your deeper scoring leagues. Going over to Dallas, maybe look at Tyler Seguin, listed as center right winger, owned in 41% of Yahoo leagues, plays third line, second power play unit. He just got back from injury and he has points in back-to-back games, so he should be an all-right option if he can keep that momentum going. Another one in Dallas is Evgeny Dadonov, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, second power play unit for the Stars there, and he has 8 points his last 10 games, 1 of those coming on the power play there. So with Dadonov, he is in the top 6, and he's doing all right. He should be a nice streamer in your deeper leagues. Going over to Detroit, maybe look at David Perron, listed as a right winger, owned in 42% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line, top power play unit in Detroit there. He has 8 points his last 6 games, so nice amount of production there. 3 of those points being on the power play, and also 6 hits in those 6 games. It's been really good the last couple of weeks there, so he should be a nice streaming option for you. Another one in Detroit's Andrew Copp, listed as center right winger, owned in 13% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, second power play unit, and he has 8 points the last 11 games. And in those 11 games, a couple points on the power play, 21 shots on goal, and 8 blocks in there. So he's had okay production, and he should be a solid streamer in your deeper Cats leagues. Another one in Detroit, maybe look at Dominic Kubalik, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 20% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line, top power play unit right now, and he has 4 points the last 5 games. And in those 5 games, he's also +3, has 12 shots on goal, and also thrown 5 hits in those 5 games. He's been getting a bit more opportunity of late, and he's been better with that added opportunity, so he is a little bit risky with how cold he was previously, but it could pay off for you. Over in Minnesota, maybe look at Ryan Hartman, listed as center right winger, owned in 42% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line for the Wild, top power play unit, and he has 11 points the last 11 games. Nice run without Kaprizov there. 3 of those points being on the power play, 31 shots on goal, 11 hits, and 7 blocks in those 11 games. He's been on a nice steady run here and should be a consistent streamer for you and help you out, especially in a Cats league. Another one for Minnesota is Marcus Johansson, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, second power play unit for the Wild, and he has 11 points his last 10 games. In those 10 games, he's also +7, and 3 of those points being on the power play there. His line, that second line in Minnesota, has really been rolling, so he should be a good option for you in a scoring league. Going over to Philly, maybe look at Owen Tippett, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 25% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line, top power play unit for the Flyers right now. He has 8 points the last 7 games, and in those 7 games, he's also +4, has a couple points on the power play, fired 18 shots on net, also thrown 8 hits and 7 blocks in there. He's streaky but good recently, pretty much in every category there, so it'd be a okay option for you in a Cats league. Another one in Phillies, Morgan Frost, listed as center left winger, only owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third line, second power play unit. He's been good, 8 points his last 6 games, and in those 6 games he's +4, also has 15 shots on goal and 7 blocks. He's been a bit hit or miss this year, but he is on a roll recently here, so in deeper leagues it could work out for you. Another one in Philly, Scott Laughton, listed as center left winger, owned in 20% of Yahoo leagues, listed on the fourth line, second power play unit, and he has 4 points the last 5 games. And in those 5 games, he's also +3, has 8 hits and 3 blocks in those 5 games. He's been decent, but he has been up and down the lineup. I'm not sure if him and Torts are fighting there, but he has been up and down the lineup of late. And with that, he is a gamble, but ought to be okay in your deeper leagues. Another one in Philly, few flyers here, is Noah Cates, listed as center left winger, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line for Philly, top power play unit, and he has 7 points his last 6 games. A couple of those points coming on the power play, and also 6 blocks in those 6 games. Really nice for a forward there. He's been producing recently here, so he might be an alright streamer in your deeper leagues. Another one in Phillies, Joel Farabee, listed as center left winger as well, owned in 7% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line, top power play unit, and he has 7 points his last 7 games. In those 7 games, he's also +4, one of those points being on the power play, but also fired 15 pucks on net in those 7 games. He's been on and off season form, so there is definitely some risk involved, but with 6 games, he could turn out to be an alright option for you. Going over to San Jose, maybe look at Logan Couture, listed as a center, owned in 47% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line for the Sharks' top power play unit, and he has 9 points the last 9 games, so averaging a point per game, 3 of those being on the power play. Also has 27 shots on goal and 15 hits in those 9 games. He's been consistent most of the year. He referred to him as a steady Eddie in different episodes there. So he should be a very solid streamer in a Cats League if he is available. Another one for San Jose is Thomas Hertl, listed as a center, owned in 52% of Yahoo leagues. He's listed on the second line and top power play unit, and he has 9 points his last 10 games. 4 of those 9 points coming on the power play there, and 31 shots on goal, 16 hits, and 8 blocks in those 10 games. He's also, like Couture, has been good most of the year here, really spreads it across most Cats, other than plus-minus. Plus-minus is going to hurt you being in San Jose there, but he should be a really, really good option for you in a Cats League if he is available. Over in Toronto, maybe look at Kelly Yarncroc, listed as center, left winger, right winger, owned in 14% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the top line, second power play unit. And he's put up 7 points the last 9 games, and in those 9 games also +5, which is nice. He's been okay on that top line, and with being able to play with Matthews and Marner there, he should be an okay scoring league streamer for you. Over in Vancouver, maybe look at Dakota Joshua, listed as center left winger, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the top line right now, and he has 4 points his last 4 games. In those 4 games, he's also +5, has 10 hits, definitely throws the body around there. Also 3 blocks in those 4 games. He's been up on the top line and on a nice run with it there. If he stays there, he should be a good streamer in your deeper leagues. Another one for Vancouver's Brock Besser, listed as a right winger, owned in 48% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing second line on the top power play unit, and he has 11 points his last 10 games, so a little over a point per game there. Also +6 in those 10 games, has 4 power play points, and also 25 shots on goal, so nice amount of shots there. He's been a bit streaky this year here, but he's been pretty darn good recently. So with that, he should be a good streamer if he is available. Another one for Vancouver is Philip Di Giuseppe, not 100% sure, might have butchered the name there, but listed as left winger, right winger, available everywhere, 0% owned, playing on the second line for Vancouver there, and he has 4 points the last 5 games, and in those 5 games, he's +3, has 11 shots on goal and 5 hits in there. So he's been on a little bit of a roll, not hasn't put up a lot of points this year, but recently on a little bit of a roll. So if you're in a real deep league, he could be worth a gamble on. Over in Vegas, maybe look at Ivan Barbashev, listed as center left winger, owned in 28% of Yahoo leagues. Playing top line, also on the top power play unit right now. And he has points in 4 straight games. And in those 4 games, he's +2. Also has a power play point, 9 hits, and a couple of blocks in there. He's been heating up, and he should be good as Vegas is fighting for the division title there. And with that, probably going to get a lot more opportunity. And that should hopefully benefit you if you decide to stream him. Another one in Vegas is William Karlsson. He's listed as center left winger, owned in 25% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing second line, second power play unit for Vegas there, and he has 9 points his last 11 games. And in those 11 games, he's +8, has a point on the power play, also 22 shots on goal and 9 blocks in those 11 games. So he's been solid the last little bit here, and he should be an okay streaming option in a Cats league. Another one in Vegas is Pavel Dorofeyev, listed as a left winger, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit, and he has 7 points the last 9 games. And in those 9 games, 3 of those 7 points have been on the power play. Also, for a young kid, he's shooting the puck, 22 shots on goal in those 9 games. So he's been decent since his last call-up here and could work in your deeper scoring leagues. Last one in Vegas, going from a young kid to the old vet there. Look at Phil Kessel, listed as a right winger, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues, playing third line, second power play unit, and he has 6 points the last 6 games, and 3 of those points have been coming on the power play. It's very risky with Kessel, because they were saying that he has a chance to be his lowest point total since his rookie season, but he has been a little bit better late. He's kind of turned back the clock the last couple of weeks here, so in a really deep scoring league, you might be able to get some value out of him. Now we're going to cover some 7-game players. Finally, some D-men with a 7-game week. Start off in Buffalo. Maybe look at Owen Power. He's owned in 46% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit, and he has 5 points the last 8 games. I do believe he got a point tonight. That game's still going on there. One of those points being on the power play, and 16 shots on goal and 14 blocks in those 8 games. He's been very hot and cold this season, but with 7 games, he might be worth a roll of the dice on there. Over in Nashville, maybe look at Ryan McDonough. Owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues, plays top pairing for the Preds, and he has 3 points his last 6 games, so half point per game. In those 6 games, also has 11 shots on goal and 13 blocks in there. He's been okay since his return from injury there. He's definitely not going to wow you, but he could be an okay streamer in some deeper formats. Going over to Seattle, maybe look at Adam Larson, owned in 59% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing for the Kraken there. He's been on the top pairing pretty much all year. He has 5 points his last 7 games, and in those 7 games, he's +4. Also has 13 shots on goal in those 7 games, 15 hits, and 22 blocks, an S-load of blocks there. His offense has been hit or miss this year. He had a really crazy run in the middle of the season there, then he got colder. Now he seems to be all right, 5 points the last 7, but he is really good in other categories there, so he should be an all right option in a Cats league if he is available. Now we'll finish it off with some forwards that have a 7-game week. We'll start off in Buffalo again. Maybe look at Dylan Cousins, listed as a center, owned in 58% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, top power play unit, and he has 4 points his last 4 games, and in those 4 games also fired 12 pucks on net, so shooting a bit more of late here. It's been a little streaky, but overall it has been a fairly nice season there, and with a 7-game week, you should be able to get some value out of him if he is available. Another one from Buffalo is J.J. Peterka, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit for the Sabres, and he has 9 points his last 9 games. Nice run for him. One of those points coming on the power play, also has 18 shots on goal in those 9 games. With Peterka, he's been on a nice roll of late there, and he should be an alright streamer in your deeper scoring leagues. Another one in Buffalo maybe is Victor Olofsson, listed as a right winger, owned in 10% of Yahoo leagues, playing third line, second power play unit. He has 5 points the last 6 games, 4 of those 5 points coming on the power play. So definitely feasting with the man advantage there. And also has 12 shots on goal. He is really streaky, but seems to be better of late there. So he should be an okay option with having 7 games this week. Another one should mention from Buffalo, I didn't have on the list, is Casey Middlestat, because Thompson still hasn't dressed yet, but that's really Thompson dependent. If Thompson comes back, Middlestat really drops down the depth chart, will hurt his value, but if Thompson doesn't come back, Middlestat will have some value in there. Over in Colorado, maybe look at JT Compher, listed as center right winger, owned in 48% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing second line, top power play unit for the Avalanche. And he has 6 points his last 7 games. 3 of those 6 points coming on the power play there. He's been okay of late, and he's been better since moving up to that top power play unit. Obviously, when you get to play with McKinnon and Rantanen on that power play, it's going to work out for you. So he should be a good streaming option for you. Over in Nashville, maybe look at Cody Glass, listed as center right winger, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues. Playing top line, top power play unit for the Preds, and he has 3 points the last 3 games. 1 of those coming on the power play, also fired 7 pucks on net. With Glass, he's been really hot or cold, so he definitely is risky, but with 7 games, you may find some value in your really deep leagues. Another one from Nashville's Philip Tomasino, listed as a right winger, owned in 5% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, top power play unit, and he has 10 points the last 11 games, so really nice production. In those 11 games, he's also +6, and 1 of those points did come on the power play there. He has a decent amount of offense, Tomasino does, and he should help you in some scoring leagues. May need to be a little bit deeper, there might be some better options, but Tomasino's been pretty good recently. Another one in Nashville is Thomas Novak, listed as center, owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, top power play unit, and he has 11 points the last 12 games. Nice run for him there. A couple of those points coming on the power play. Also has 23 shots on goal in those 12 games and 9 blocks. Really nice block total for a forward. He has cooled off a little bit the last few games, but over that 12-game period overall has been pretty good. And a nice amount of offense there, so he should be a decent option for you down the stretch. Over in Seattle, maybe look at Jared McCann, listed as center left winger, owned in 58% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line for the Kraken, second power play unit, and he has 8 points the last 7 games there. 1 of those points coming on the power play. Shoots a lot, 28 shots in those 7 games, 4 blocks in there. So he's been solid. He's really had a good season. So he would be a great ad for you if he is available in your leagues. Last one in Seattle is Oliver Bjorkstrand, listed as a right winger, only owned in 8% of Yahoo leagues, playing third line, second power play unit, and he has 7 points in the last 10 games. Nice amount of offense there. A couple of those points coming on the power play and 22 shots on goal in those 10 games. With Bjorkstrand, it has been an off year for him. You kind of expected a little bit more, but he has been okay of late recently here, so he could work out in some deeper leagues for you. That's it for today's episode. If you are watching via YouTube, please hit like, hit subscribe, remember that notification bell. If you're listening via podcast, please give us a 5-star review, as that helps suggest the podcast to some other potential listeners there. And don't forget to check out www.247clash.com. If you do sign up, do use referral code LTC. Hopefully you win some cash there. Hopefully these episodes... Hopefully you made it to championship week, and hopefully this will help you secure that championship for you. We'll talk to you soon there, fantasy owners.